I had the perfect life. My parents adored me, I had tons of friends, and my boyfriend Alec was the hottest guy in school. He was the captain of the football team, and he drove a shiny new car. Every time he drove me to school, I saw a few girls turn green. I feel sorry for them. How did they even live? Everyone loved me, except for my little sister Ivy. I don't know what her problem was. Between you and me, I thought she was jealous. A few times I caught her in my bedroom trying on my clothes. Then there's that time I saw her drooling at Alex when he came over to swim in our pool. Ugh. As if he could even look at her twice. I bet he didn't even know she existed. Ivy and I look nothing alike. I was tall with naturally blonde hair. She was a brunette and her weight was average. So was everything else about her. That's why what she did next took everyone by surprise. Wanna know what she did? Watch and find out. It was the last weekend of summer break. I just returned home from being away all summer and I couldn't wait to see my boyfriend Alex again. I bet he'd missed me. Correction, I know he missed me. Why else would he be throwing me a surprise welcome party at his house? I wasn't supposed to know, but my best friend Olivia was the biggest gossip in school. I'd just finished getting ready when my mom announced that Alex had arrived. His timing was perfect. I even practiced my surprise face for when we arrived at his house for the party. Alex! Did you miss me? I bet… no. This couldn't be happening. Was this some kind of sick joke? Alex was standing in our living room, kissing Ivy. Alex, what are you doing?
Emily, I'm so sorry. This is not how I wanted you to find out.
Find out what?
That he's my boyfriend now. Sorry, big sis. I thought your loudmouth BFF already told you. My bad.
Come on, this isn't funny. Alex, let's go. Ivy, find a hobby or something. That was so gross. Alex didn't even turn to look at me. He took Ivy's hand and walked out of the door with her. The last thing he said before closing it was that he was sorry. What just happened? I called Alex, but he didn't pick up, so I called Olivia.
I was going to tell you, I swear. When I heard about the party he was hosting for you, I thought he had finally come to his senses.
I don't think that party was ever for me. He just left with Ivy. He kissed her, Liv.
I know. Half the school is at his house. The party is for their 1-month anniversary.
This was a nightmare. I ran back to my room and I fell down on my bed. I cried for hours. Senior year was going to suck. On Monday morning, Ivy and I sat with my mom for breakfast. I'd locked myself in my room all weekend and hadn't seen Ivy since the day of the party. I couldn't sit near her without wanting to rip her hair out. Just pack mine to go, Mom. I've lost my appetite.
Sure thing, honey.
Hey, Mom, I want to move into Emily's room. Mine's too small now that my boyfriend and my friends come over a lot. Also, I want to use my room to store my new clothes and bags.
Of course, dear. Emily will move her things after school.
What? Mom, please tell me you're joking. It's my room. But she wasn't. When I got home from school, I found Mom packing my stuff as Dad carried them down to the basement. Ivy was watching, arms across her chest and a smile on her face. I am going to kill you. I lunged at Ivy, but my mom stepped between us.
That's enough from you, Emily. What has gotten into you?
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. First my boyfriend, and now my room? Turns out this was just the tip of a very big Ivy-shaped iceberg. I was the talk of the school all week. I was the poor girl who lost her boyfriend to her little sister. Alex avoided me, and so did most of my friends. Ivy dyed her hair blonde, exactly like mine. She replaced her large eyeglasses with contacts. She wore expensive clothes and jewelry. Where was she getting all of this stuff? The allowance our parents gave us definitely wasn't enough.
You're staring.
Olivia sat next to me in the cafeteria. Ivy was eating her lunch while a girl standing next to her held her bag and her phone for her. I'm sorry, I can't help this. This is ridiculous. How is she getting away with all of this? Isn't that Amy, the head cheerleader? She's the most popular girl in Ivy's class. A few weeks ago, Ivy wouldn't have gone near her. Now she's holding Ivy's bag while she eats. Just then, a woman I'd never seen before walked into the cafeteria and to Ivy's table.
You!
She was looking right at Ivy.
I don't know what game you're playing, but stay away from me and my fiancé.
She turned to Amy.
And you, stay away from my fiancé.
Then she grabbed Ivy's necklace and ripped it from her neck. She then took Ivy's water and threw it in Amy's face. Before anyone could react, she walked out, Ivy's necklace in her hand. What was that all about?
That's Michelle, Mr. Wells' fiancé.
Wells? The math teacher?
Yep.
Olivia feigned boredom, but I knew she was hiding something and was dying to tell me. I sat and waited.
Fine, I'll tell you. So get this. All through summer break, there was a rumor that Mr. Wells was involved with a student. Most of us suspected Amy was the student, but we never knew for sure. I guess now we know.
Well, at least they're of age, but still. Ew. They must be like 20 years younger.
I know.
Why did she also attack Ivy?
Who knows? Ivy is the devil nowadays. Probably did something to Mr. Wells.
As weeks went by, I noticed that Amy wasn't the only one under Ivy's command. Ivy had her own little army of minions. They ran around her like clockwork, picking up after her and making sure she had anything she asked for. I once saw a girl remove her earrings from her own ears and offer them to Ivy. She even had a senior doing her assignments. I saw her stand over him while he did her math homework. After he was done, he handed the books to her and she told him, "Same time tomorrow." At home, she became impossible to live with. She made my mom clean her rooms. She went out every night, and whenever I reported her, Mom and Dad ignored me. She asked Dad for the latest iPhone, and he bought it for her. She decided what we ate. If she was in the mood for pizza, then we'd all have to eat pizza. One evening, she asked Mom to bake her favorite chocolate cake. Mom spent hours baking. When she was done, Ivy said she changed her mind. Mom was close to tears. I had to know how she was getting away with this. Why were people granting her all of her wishes? A few days later, Alex came to our house. He said a quick hello and then rushed to Ivy's room. I followed him and stood outside the door listening.
I can't do this anymore, Ivy. I'm done playing your games. I'm going to tell Emily everything.
Go ahead. Tell her. See if she'll take you back. She'll never forgive you.
She might not forgive me, but at least I'll be free from you.
You'll be free when I say you're free. I own you, Alex. Unless you no longer want that football scholarship?
Of course I do.
That's what I thought. Now be a good boyfriend and come paint my toenails. I'm in the mood for silver today, to match with the silver bracelet you got me yesterday.
I waited for Alex to leave, then followed him to his house. Alex, wait up. He had just parked his car.
Em, what are you doing here?
I overheard you and Ivy. Alex, what's going on?
She made me swear not to tell you. If I do, then my life is over.
What does she have on you? I promise not to tell. You can trust me. It took a bit more convincing, but Alex finally told me the truth.
Ivy caught me opening the exam cabinet just before we took the end of junior year tests.
Alex told me how he got the key to the cabinet from a boy in his class. You paid him?
Not really. He gave me the key after I promised to invite him to parties and introduce him to girls. He's kind of, let's just say he needed my help.
Alex told me how he went into the school at night planning to access the cabinet and copy test answers. Ivy saw him and followed him. When she caught him, she threatened to report him. Alex begged her not to. He told her that if she reported him, he'd get suspended, or worse. He was hoping to get a football scholarship at the end of the senior year, and Ivy knew this.
So she asked me to be her boyfriend. I told her to ask for anything else, but her mind was set. Part of my deal with her is making you suffer as much as possible by letting you think that I chose her over you. If she finds out that I told you the truth, she'll report me to the principal. I can't get suspended in my senior year.
I was relieved that Alex was not Ivy's boyfriend by choice. Just tell the principal that you went there intending to copy the answers but changed your mind the last minute. I doubt he'll suspend his best quarterback for that.
I didn't tell you everything. After I agreed to become her boyfriend, Ivy helped me copy the test answers. She's holding that over my head too. Your sister is devious, Em.
The weeks that followed, I found out just how devious Ivy was. Remember the senior that was doing her assignments? He was the boy that gave Alex the keys to the cabinet. His mom was a teacher at Oakley High and he stole the keys from her. Ivy got Alex to tell her all of this and then threatened to report the senior too, So now he was stuck doing her assignments. One evening, I got home and found Mom crying. Mom, what's wrong? Did something happen to Dad? Mom looked so sad and exhausted.
It's your sister. Emily, I have to tell you something. Ivy, she knows something she shouldn't. She found out that your dad and I are not your parents.
What?
Sit down, honey. Let's wait for your, dad to get home.
No, what do you mean you're not my parents? I'm adopted?
Not exactly. Your Aunt Martha, my sister who died in a car crash with her husband, those were your parents. You were in the car with them, but you were not hurt.
I was in tears. And so was my mom. She tearfully recounted finding me with nurses at the hospital when she got news of the crash. Martha was in critical condition, but her husband, my father, was dead. Before she died, Martha asked Mom to raise me as her own and to never tell me about their tragic death.
So we took you home and never spoke of the accident again. Ivy found a box with old photos of you with them. She also found newspaper articles about the crash. She threatened to tell you. I begged her not to be so cruel, but she just laughed. She has the box hidden in her room. I was so afraid you'd hate us if you found out. She made us kick you out of your room. She has been asking for so many things from your dad and me. We have spent so much money buying her new clothes and other things. I'm so sorry, dear.
I was super sad after my talk with Mom, but I was not going to let Ivy win. It was time to end her reign as the evil queen. When our doorbell rang, I thought I'd finally get to confront Ivy. But it wasn't Ivy at the door.
Is this the Gilligan residence?
That's my dad, yeah.
My name is Officer Bridges. Are your parents home? I need them to come to the station.
Less than an hour later, we were at the station. Mom had called Dad on the way and he met us there. The officer told us that Ivy had been arrested for possession of stolen property. We found Ivy in tears.
I keep telling them that this is not my bag, but they won't believe me. Amy gave it to me.
Mr. and Mrs. Gilligan, your daughter is lying. Amy Smith is the one that told the manager where to find the missing bag. We have the manager's statement right here.
It looks like Amy set you up, Ivy. What did you do to her? Hours later, we were all back home. Ivy had been released with a warning to stay out of trouble. Turns out, Amy had shoplifted the bag and given it to Ivy. Then she'd gone back to the store and told them that Ivy was the shoplifter.
Why would she do such a thing?
I caught Amy kissing Mr. Wells. I threatened to report them to the principal and Mr. Wells' fiancé unless they did what I asked.
So Ivy had made Amy her slave. She made Amy carry her bags around school, and she also took Amy's diamond necklace that Amy had received from Mr. Wells. So that's why Mr. Wells' fiancé ripped it from your neck.
Yes.
As for Wells, he had to give her A's in all of her math classes. Are you the one that got him fired?
What? No! He quit after he confessed to his fiancée about his affair with Amy.
Why did you do all of these things?
I wanted to know how it feels to have everything, like you did.
Guilt overcame me. I'd made my sister feel ignored and alone, and this drove her to manipulation and blackmail. Even though I was angry with her, I promised to be a better big sister. My parents told Ivy to return all of the items they'd bought for her. They also told her to move out of my room. Alex reported himself to the principal and he got suspended. We never got back together.